This is the Philanthropy Show, connecting and inspiring philanthropy.
Welcome to the Philanthropy Show. I am your host, Luann Saraga-Walters. When I say corporate nonprofit partnerships, what comes to mind? Well, probably not what we're going to show you in this show, because this is one of the most innovative partnerships that I've heard of. And the reason we wanted to do this show was to kind of create that spark so that you think of other ways that you can do these partnerships for the benefit of both the corporation and the nonprofit involved. And joining us today, we have two wonderful women who are coming on, very dedicated to a Tampa Bay nonprofit called Wheels of Success. And founder and CEO Susan Jacobs is with us right here on my direct right. And to her right, we have Tina Narron, correct, who is the VP, Vice President of Consumer Loans for GTE Financial.
Correct.
And you are also a board member on Wheels of Success.
I'm the vice chair.
Okay, so first off, so we can set the stage properly, tell me about Wheels of Success, Susan, and because you've got, number one, you've got a really unique nonprofit in what you do, and then we'll go into this partnership further.
So we provide reliable transportation so people can get to work. That's our premise. Tampa Bay is very spread out, doesn't have mass transit, and what do you do getting to work if you don't have a car, especially if you're on a third shift job?
Yeah, what do you
So
do?
you usually lose your job.
Yeah.
So I founded this in 2003, realizing that, and there were other successful programs around the country that I could use pieces from one, pieces from another, pulling together. So not only do we take donated cars and refurbish them, but we also do repairs on people's cars if we feel their car's worth fixing rather than using one of ours. So we'll do that as well. We've also helped with insurance and tag and titling. So anything that's going to keep you in your vehicle so that you can get to work, and that is the primary consideration. If you need the car for other reasons, doesn't matter. You have to be working full-time.
This is primarily for work. Okay, well that's a good qualification to have, and that's going with your, what is your mission?
Our mission is to keep people working,
Yeah,
provide transportation to keep people working.
That's wonderful. How did you hear about Wheels of Success, Tina?
Well, about 3 years ago, I moved to the Tampa Bay area, and so I was looking for opportunities in the community to get on a board and get to know people in the community that I had just moved into. And I reached out to Susan because I was just looking at the list of Tampa Bay nonprofits, and it sparked an interest because of the car connection.
Yeah, that's. I mean, what you've done is rather unique in helping people keep their jobs by providing wheels for them. Now, within as the vice president of consumer loans at GTE Financial, loans meaning also car loans, auto loans, that kind of thing. So you're familiar with that process.
Correct.
So that's what caught your attention on Wheels of Success, and you went, what's this about? So what did you think when you first found out more about Wheels of Success and what they do, this innovative program in Tampa Bay?
I was excited to join the board, and I really enjoyed meeting with Susan and the other board members, and it was an opportunity quickly to identify that we could do something together that would help both of our companies, not just the Wheels of Success.
I mean, it's really unusual to have somebody reach out to you as a nonprofit that they want to come on your board. You're usually looking for board members reaching out. And so that was like really, for me, a great, it was kind of like fell out, and I'm like, really? Oh, this is great. So
the planets are aligned.
Yes,
I've done something really well, and look at, I just got a couple. And you know, we're always trying to get board members who have some financial capacity, or as an attorney or an account. You know, you're always looking for that professional, right, for your nonprofit board. And then they call her out of the blue. Everybody across America right now is going, gosh, I want that to happen to me.
Right.
No, that's wonderful. So you've been on the board for 3 years.
About 2.5 years, yeah.
2.5 years. When you, now what have you done, Susan, continuing with the background, as far as being able to fund your budget? Standard development tactics, donor events, what have you been able to do so far?
Okay, and that's kind of where GT fit in as well. So about a third of our budget is from program service fees because our people do pay something towards their car. It's not an entitlement program. Okay. You need to have some skin in the game and take care of your vehicle. Another third comes from grants from funders, and the other from events. So we have a major event next month that raises a big portion of our money. But we also have a social enterprise. that we started in 2009 with funding from the business plan competition from the Children's Board.
Awesome.
And that kind of got us into the selling card business as opposed to.
So that's your
corporate.
social enterprise. Now, this is interesting because we want to do a show dedicated on social enterprise as well.
Okay.
And for those nonprofits they've heard the buzzwords, but they don't know exactly what that is, explain what social enterprise is for a nonprofit.
So it's using something related to what you do that will also raise money for your organization. So because we did cars anyway, but we weren't selling cars to the general public. And we realized that we could purchase cars at auction, other different ways, and really basically sell them to people who either don't qualify for our program because they're not working full-time, somebody's retired, a student, they're not working full-time, or because our waiting list is very long. We always have more people than we have cars. So somebody might, for instance, have their income tax refund, have some money to put down, but they have no credit, so they're going to go to a buy here, pay here that's going to charge them 29% interest, and now that car payment isn't affordable anymore. So because we offered a no-interest loan, we were able to help some of those people get them into a vehicle, but our dilemma was we were in essence holding the paper, providing the funding to go purchase that car. So we could only purchase something up to what they could afford on a monthly payment for 1 year
Sure,
because that's all we could hold.
Exactly, that's your budget.
Right, exactly. So that's when Tina came on board, and then we started talking and whatever, and she put forth to GTE that they would be able to do loans on a longer term, which is right now up to 36 months, still interest-free, which is unheard of.
That's
okay, and
phenomenal.
not credit-based because
Wow.
it's only income-based.
And from my understandings, and I do want to go further in depth on how you structured this, but it's also based on your determination, correct?
Correct. So we're the ones who make the determination more from the money, like have they had a repossession before, something that would affect their loan. But we're looking at them like we look at our clients in the Wheels
You're vetting
program.
them.
We're vetting them. And what's happened is for the first year, the pilot, of the 26 people we did, all but 4 of them were previous clients who had graduated out of the Wheels program, were doing better, had gotten a promotion, had gotten a raise, and maybe it had been 3 or 4 years ago even, and now they needed another car. Those people all, we found that our weak link more was the people from the street, from the main thing so we need to look at how do we better vet them. No, we only had 1 default out of 26 people, which is fantastic in the used car business.
Let me summarize this. Here you've got this innovative nonprofit program, which is designed to keep people working for those folks who don't have cars or they are having trouble with theirs may have broken down or
Right.
for whatever reason. Then you come in and do a social enterprise, which is to raise revenue, a revenue stream created within your nonprofit for the community at large. And oh, by the way, within that social enterprise, let's bring it together into a corporate nonprofit partnership between GTE Financial and Wheels of Success.
Exactly.
Tina, I'm going to go in depth with you, but we have to take a quick break.
Okay.
So when we come back, Tina is going to talk about how GTE plays a role in this corporate nonprofit partnership. I love this idea. We'll be right back with the Philanthropy Show.
Follow the Philanthropy Show on Facebook for behind-the-scenes action, polls, and commentary. This show sponsored in part by
My Paper Pusher. Consider it done.
I'm Samantha Abraham, CEO of My Paper Pusher, with your financial tip of the week. How do you choose the right accounting software for your organization? Nonprofits need to pay attention to 3 factors when choosing their accounting software. It's accessibility, pricing, and complexity of your reporting needs. First, accessibility. Will desktop or online software satisfy your needs? Online software usually provides more accessibility than desktop software and allows for multiple users and access via the internet. This can be very important for board members that change or when multiple people need to access the file, which they often do. Second, the pricing. Will your accounting software fit into the budget? Desktop software usually has a higher upfront cost, whereas online software is usually priced with a lower monthly subscription. Last but not least, your organization wants to make sure that the accounting software has double entry bookkeeping, reconciliation, and the capacity to grow with your organization's reporting and allocation needs. When choosing your accounting software, pay attention to its accessibility, pricing, and the complexity of the organization's reporting and allocation needs. I'm Samantha Abraham with My Paper Pusher, where you can consider it done.
Welcome back to the Philanthropy Show, talking with Tina Narron, Vice President of GTE Financial, and Wheels of Success founder and CEO Susan Jacobs, about their corporate nonprofit partnership. Now, before the break, Susan, you were talking about the different elements that you've got going. Your mission, as with your nonprofit, is, I'm going to paraphrase, to keep people working. And they may not have a car, they may have a car that's broken down, but Wheels of Success is to keep them in some vehicle so that they can go to and from. Meanwhile, you developed a social enterprise, creating a revenue stream for your nonprofit, and that social enterprise within it has a nonprofit corporate partnership component, which is phenomenal. And I'm going to have Tina now. Now, Susan had kind of briefly stated it, but Tina, restate this. What are the terms, and how do you get to the point of somebody being able to have a car?
Okay. What we do is we are designated, or GTE Financial is designated as a low-income credit union. We use that designation to apply for grant money to help and fund programs in our communities. So when we received a grant, I reached out to Susan about using some of that grant money to fund her loan program. So to take that responsibility of those loans sitting on her books, so she could use all the income that she generates to put more people into cars, and GTE would take over the fiscal responsibility of those loans. We would also use that grant money to fund them at 0% interest, so they still maintained a 0% interest. And the
0% interest is not based on a credit score.
No.
What are the parameters of the loan?
The only parameter GTE has is that they must meet their low-income designation and that they haven't caused us to have a loss in the past.
Okay.
So they can have credit challenges, they can have no credit. If it's past Susan's vetting out, we will continue with the loan.
And you said you served 26 people.
In the first year. We served more since then because we're now in our second year. But of the first year of the 26 people, we had one default.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Continue. Yeah.
One of the benefits of that, we also have partnered with them to open up checking accounts. So we'll do second chance checking accounts if they qualify for one of these loans. We'll go ahead and open up their checking account even if they've had problems with other institutions. We have special late payment forgiveness, a little skip-a-pay programs for them put into place, and they also get credit for the loan payment. So they are building credit, so next time when they're ready to move up, they'll be able to get a decent interest rate, not only with GTE or wherever they decide to go. They won't have to go to the 29%.
This is really multi-pronged.
Yeah.
Because they come in through your program, but then they're able to, like you said, you're talking about rebuilding their credit. They're able. Tell me about this. When you say that GTE Financial is a designated, what did you say at the very
Low-income designation.
Low-income designation. What does that mean?
That means all of our branches or our community neighborhood financial centers are located in areas designated as low income.
Okay.
So all of the community members in that location are considered low income.
So these grants are federal grants that GTE is receiving? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people even have heard of this program before, and she called you.
Right. That's what's so awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I mean, who would have
And
heard
thought of putting
about
this,
it?
and thought of putting this together because she'd been on the board, and you know, we already had what we call our ABC, our advocacy buying center, set up, our social enterprise, but we couldn't expand it. We didn't have the money to help as many people, nor could we offer them. You know, now we can offer up to a $7,500 loan through them. So that means they can get an $8,000 car, $8,500 car with their down payment, whereas before they had to get a $4,000 car. Big difference in what that car is going to be. But they still have affordable payments, because that's one of the big problems in the car industry. You know, you go in, you think you can afford it, and you can't. So there's a cap on the payment, and we make sure we look at their budget to say, don't tell me what you think you can pay. plug it in here. Show us what you can really pay, because we don't want you to get overextended. You're just going to be back in the situation
Well, and
you were
this is
in.
a big part of the vetting process for you.
Sure.
That Wheels of Success is doing this and then coming to GTE, and basically you've got everything laid out for them. And I loved the statistic that you said, that how many of them were prior clients?
Actually, of the 26, all but 4 were prior clients.
Okay, yeah. So you had 22 of them that were you'd already been familiar with, had gone through the program. So there's a certain, I don't know if it's credibility, if it's what's it's providing GTE, that there's a sustainability factor with that, right? So GTE has this endeavor, this mission then also in helping, obviously because it's a designated grant designee, in helping the low-income community. What's important for GTE from the philosophy that that you hold as the vice president? What is your company looking at as far as helping the community, becoming active in the community, or you see where I'm going with that? What's the philanthropic philosophy, I guess, of?
Well, basically, our mission really is to be the preferred financial provider and employer in the community in Central Florida. So it's not just about the communities that we serve, it's also about our employees, and they encourage us to get involved in the community and be on boards, and not just sit on a board, but actually work the board, find ways that we can partner together and help people.
And I think that's, you're living testimony to that, because you're not just sitting on a board, you're serving it. You came up with a very creative solution between the two of you, but you also called her. I still can't get over that. I love that. So in addition to being able to provide this program type, it's also about volunteerism.
Sure.
Yeah. How many of your do you have that? Do you happen to know how many employees within GTE, or percentage-wise, that are actively invested in it? Or is this something that's corporate-wide, is just really promoted and pushed and said, come take a part?
I've been lucky that a lot of people have embraced Wheels. They all have gotten behind what we've been able to put together.
That's awesome.
But there's lots of other people on other boards in the community that do a lot of great work too. So every month we have a different charity that we go out and support, and we have 3 major ones that we do throughout the year, all year long, and Wheels is one of the ones that we do all year long.
Well, see, that's a part of this, and thank you for being on this show, because this is the first of many that I want to do on corporate nonprofit partnerships. I think a lot of times when we think of corporate philanthropy, we just think of it from the dollar standpoint. What can this person grant to me by sitting on my board? Right? Or if they're a donor, or if they're a friend of a donor, or a friend of a board member. But there's a lot more to corporate philanthropy than simply the giving of the money. I mean, this program is so creative, and by being a participant or being a partner in this, you're helping. The end result is that you want to help more people.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be an exchange of money from GTE to Wheels of Success.
Right.
That's great
so
too.
one of the other
but-
pieces that they did that we didn't mention is they give us a car a quarter out of their cars that are repossessed.
Cool.
They give it, and we can sell that car. So it's not like a donor car where we don't sell that. And that basically goes back then to fund the cars that we're fixing, the repair
that's
costs.
awesome.
So that's another huge piece that they do. They're also a sponsor of our event as well. So they do all different ways of helping not only us, but our recipients, because without being able to open a checking account, if you've had bad experience in the past and now you're back on track, but that's the problem. The people who need the credit the most, once they're back on track, they have nowhere to go to establish that credit. So
this is helping.
Yeah, next to a mortgage, the best thing you can get is a car loan that, if you pay it on time, is reported to the credit bureau, and you can your credit score just jumps up. So.
Well, we're not a nonprofit, but I worked in nonprofits, and we have a passion around nonprofits, and this is why we do this show. So Tina, I want to say thank you so much for what you're doing, and for GTE's focus on corporate philanthropy and giving back into the community and helping so much. And Susan, congratulations. I mean, that's just what an innovative approach. And together, you guys are like synchronistic. You're fantastic together. So that's really cool. We're at the end of our second break. We've got to take a second break already. But when we come back, it's time for Truth or Care, which is, what does philanthropy mean to you? It's your heart's definition of philanthropy. And that can be a story, an example, a transformative experience, something that touched you, and it's the reason why you're working in nonprofits and you're working with nonprofits in helping make this community a better community. So we're going to take another short break with a word from our studio sponsor, and we'll be right back.
And now a word from our studio sponsor.
Hi, I'm Emily Benham, CEO of the Nonprofit Leadership Center, studio sponsor of the Philanthropy Show. I'd like to share some tips with you about how to perfect your elevator speech with your board. We have a big leadership conference coming up on May 8th with John Akoff and Sam Silverstein. I think I might have mentioned it once or twice before. I think everyone should be as excited as we are as a team about having these extraordinary speakers come to our town and share their knowledge with the nonprofit community. The truth is, sometimes we need to train our people, like our board members, to share our enthusiasm with just the right smattering of facts. So, at a recent board meeting, we took the time to train our trustees on how to craft their best and their most personal elevator speech to talk about our conference. Here's how we did it. First, set aside 20 minutes on the agenda. Then we gave them 3 options. Pose it as a question, or as an irresistible email subject line, something that someone would have to open. Or 3, as a tweet. In less than 140 characters, even if you don't use Twitter, think about your message that way. Then we had them share and practice with each other and call out their favorites as a group. Our results? In the question format, do you know where hundreds of nonprofit leaders are going to be on May 8th? The subject line format, what nonprofits could teach the for-profit sector? And finally, the tweet format, gain new connections and get motivated at the NLC conference. Hashtag time well spent, May 8th, 2015. I think they did a great job. So, whether you're promoting an event, a capital campaign, or just the good work your nonprofit does every day, be sure to practice with your key stakeholders, like your board, your staff, and your volunteers, to give them the tools for success. And most importantly, be sure that it is fun and memorable. Thanks for your time. I'll see you on May 8th at our leadership conference. Hashtag time well spent.
The Philanthropy Show is on demand every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at both thephilanthropyshow.com and YouTube/WatchMVVP TV.
Welcome back to the Philanthropy Show. I have been so inspired by what you two have done, and I know that this show will also be that kind of an inspiration for others who are looking at out-of-the-box ways to do corporate nonprofit philanthropy. Thank you both. It's fantastic. Love having you guys as guests on the show. So this is now time for our Truth or Care segment, when we talk about what that personal aspect of philanthropy is. What is your heart's definition of philanthropy? Transformative experience, story that you'd like to share? And either one of you can go first, whoever wants to just jump on in and share that, bringing it home.
Well, I guess I was somebody in this situation who needed a car, who needed the assistance. So I left a domestic violence situation and walked away. And never thought I'd be doing this, however, just knew a stranger had helped me to get back on my feet. And I thought, really want to do something. That it ended up being this was just, to me, nothing happens by accident, and I truly believe that. And what I feel is that because I was somebody who actually had that experience, I'm able to relate better to the people that I serve, because when they see you in that position, you're like, well, what would you know about my life?
Wow, yeah.
And I can tell them, and I don't mind telling them, that I was there, and you're not your circumstance. It's just your circumstance. And you can change that.
I love that you said that. You're not your circumstance. It's just your circumstance.
Yeah, and I truly
That's a
believe
great
that.
way
So
to
when
say
we
it.
see people, we've had so many success stories, and they're not our success stories, they're their success stories, because they have a car. You know, people who've totally transformed what they're able to do, or didn't even think necessarily that they could do that because they were so limited in their scope of what they can do. So if you're underemployed because you don't have a car and you work near home or near where you can get to work, and now the whole town is open to you to get a job. You don't have to just be limited by that anymore. So you change that whole perception of who you are. And you know, in our culture,
And how does that make you feel?
Well, to me, that's why we do what we do. All of us, you know, when we give out a car, that's that makes everything else worthwhile, because working with cars can be very trying, especially when you're working with used cars, right? And so there's lots of trying things that go on, but when you give out that car and you can really see the difference that it's, and we stay in touch because our program's a year long, because somebody's making a payment for a year before they get their title. We know what's going on with them. They let us know. So we can see when they get a promotion, we know what changes, but really what's most important to them, it's been very interesting to see. It's not the money piece, although that's obviously a great piece, a promotion, a raise. It's what we call the intangibles that they can do that we all take for granted, that you can't do without a car. So we had somebody tell us, I've lived here for 4 years, we've never been to the beach. I have 4 kids. I couldn't even imagine taking 4 kids on the bus from Tampa to the beach. And so there's just so many things like that, that better participation in their kids' school activities, because they can get there.
It's like you've broadened their life.
Yeah, and they become part of the community. And that's what our whole Pay It Forward is about, is that you're not a victim.
Yeah.
It's only your circumstance, and you can change that. When you do, now help somebody else.
And I love how you held that.
So.
Yeah, love it, Susan. Thank you. Tina.
Well, there's a lot of examples that I could share today, but obviously raising money is part of the process of philanthropy, but raising money isn't the whole piece of it. It's what do we do with that money to fund those programs, and what do we do to help elevate people and give them not just a step up, but how to improve them going forward. And walking around with Susan, you can just go out to lunch with her and people will recognize her, come up and, do you remember me? You gave me a car 3 years ago. And,
that's awesome.
you know, I was able to get my mother to the hospital for her cancer treatments. I mean, if that doesn't tug on your heartstrings, I don't know
Mustang
what else.
Susan. That's what we're going to call you.
Car diva.
The car diva. I love it.
Yeah. So I think that's what keeps me involved with this charity and Susan's mission, and I've been very fortunate.
But it's not just my mission, really. This has been a community effort. We have been so fortunate to be supported by so many people in the community. I mean, AAA gives a membership to every one of our people. Without that, with a used car, you know, that's an expense for you, and they tow in all our donated vehicles. So,
We're going to have to bring Susan on just for another example of corporate nonprofit partnerships.
No, it's
Wow.
just, but it does take a whole village. When you're working
Yeah.
to work holistically, you want to work holistically, because there's no point putting a Band-Aid. You want to make it a long-term fix so that they don't need you anymore.
You know, she's this little person with all of this passion. You can just feel it. I mean, it's filling up this set. I love what you're doing, and
I
thank
do
you
too.
so much for doing what you're doing and helping, and how creative you two are in putting this together. Wow. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for
Really
having
appreciate-
us,
oh,
though.
Thank
Susan,
you.
Tina,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Love you too. Oh, this is awesome. I love this show. This is going to be in my book is one of my favorites so far. So it's already time to wrap it up. But thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to check out our other shows online, and we'll see you next Monday at 4 with a brand new show. See you then.
Do you have an idea for the Philanthropy Show? Contact us via our website or email us at tps@myvideovoice.com.